Oh hey, it's Barry, and today we're talking about Nintendo, but before we get into it, I just really want to announce that we just launched some merch down below. We just passed 500 subscribers, and I really appreciate every one of my subscribers that helped us get there. Now, consider subscribing if you're not. You really help out the channel, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Oh hey, it's Barry, and the crazy thing about this is every time I post a video about Nintendo, speaking about anything, it could be the new Switch 2, it could be like new patents coming out from Nintendo. The crazy part is there's people down in my comment section saying that they will never support Nintendo ever again, saying they will never give Nintendo another dime, but they always be mad vague about it. I don't know why. If you're one of those people that will never support Nintendo again, could you please give me some clarification? I really don't understand it, but I do see that they're going kind of down an anti-consumer kind of path. So if it's that reason, well then I get it. But it does seem that they do a lot of these things that kind of come across as being scumbaggy, or comes across as them going after their community. As I made a video just the other day talking about Nintendo and their plans to go after cosplayers and different fans that actually rock costumes and stuff of Nintendo online, which in a way is kind of promotion for their titles and their games and stuff. But today we got some crazy news coming out from Nintendo saying that they're not crediting their people properly, people that work on these games. And the first we heard of this was like a couple years ago with Metroid. I believe that Nintendo, they did the entire remaster and didn't credit any of the people that worked on the original game, which was kind of scummy, kind of a scumbag move over by Nintendo. I feel like the developers that were upset about this fully have merit, as it is kind of bad. Without them, they wouldn't have a game to remaster, and I think they do deserve some proper credits. But it did seem that Nintendo was only focusing on the people that did the remaster, so it's a really weird situation there. Let me know down below if you side with Nintendo or the developers that didn't get the credit in this one, as getting credited on some of these big titles for Nintendo could probably help out their career moving forward. But the title of today's headline is Nintendo's systemic policy of miscrediting is harming external translators. And external translators who've worked on major franchises including The Legends of Zelda, The Animal Crossing, have been refused credits and locked into decade-long NDAs. And I'm sure just by watching any tech reviewer or tech YouTuber, you know what an NDA is. You're basically silenced until the NDA is up. So Nintendo silencing these external translators for so long does seem kind of messed up, decades long. But multiple sources who chose to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal have told game developer how Nintendo repeatedly failed to credit them for their work on a litany of critically acclaimed titles, despite them spending months translating each project for audiences all around the world. One source who previously worked at Nintendo before becoming a freelance translator said they were always credited as an in-house employee, but noted that wasn't necessarily the case in other departments. And she quoted, "I was always credited at Nintendo. I remember seeing my name in the credits for the first time. It feels really great to be acknowledged for your work. It's like a warm thank you for the developers and the company for all the work that you put in," they explained. "I do remember one project where the company decided not to put the house testers in the credits. This was one of the Professor Layton games by Level 5. Nintendo of Europe handled the localization and publishing for the Layton series at the time. The translators on that project were protested strongly against this decision, and at the end the testers were not credited for the project. I don't know if this has since become policy, but it does seem that Nintendo is contributing to the normalization of ridiculous miscrediting policies." That's pretty sad to hear, that people that pour their hearts and souls into projects for months at a time, years even, don't get any kind of credit, don't get any kind of recognition for their work. That wasn't the only time this happened though. A contractor through Nintendo LocalSoft that actually works on games as well said that they never got credited for any of the work they did. They said, I quote, I kind of accepted miscrediting as part of the business, but that doesn't mean it's fair or right. The fact that these companies are not able to give any reasonable explanation for omitting external translators and even developers from their credits is proof of this, I think. And he continued, professionally, it's hard to tell how much this has impacted me. It's entirely possible for more translation agencies would have approached me if my name was out there in all these big blockbuster Nintendo games, but who knows? Those claims were corroborated by another source who spent over a year working on multiple Nintendo projects at LocalSoft but haven't been credited. It is Nintendo's policy to not list the name of translators from external agencies in their game credits, which also forbids us from listing those titles on our CVs, explained one source. So this is really messing up these people's personal lives, as they could have gone on to do much bigger things with even the slightest shred of getting recognition for the work being done on games like Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, or Zelda. Like, these are huge blockbuster games, and it must be really heartbreaking for these people to not be able to list that on their resume, not be able to say that's an accomplishment that they did. And they said working on Nintendo titles as an external translator, they were asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, that's an NDA, with a standard duration of 10 years, prohibiting them from discussing or promoting their work. Game developer has also viewed email that confirms Nintendo used a decade-long NDA on multiple projects. If you look at the credits for Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, for instance, you will notice that only 6 people were credited for localizing a full title that's available in 8 languages. Our source continued, in my experience, a game like this would normally be localized by a team of around 25 translators. Some languages are skipped over completely, like they got magically added to the game. For games like Animal Crossing or Breath of the Wild, you don't really notice that 15 or 20 translators are not in the credits, as there are all the other names from their in-house translators, which is why Nintendo's policy of miscrediting might have flown under the radar. But almost every big title that Nintendo releases which uses external translators actually fails to credit the translators. And of course, they stressed the prevalence of miscrediting is ridiculous and prevents workers from championing themselves and furthering their career. You work on an award-winning title with newspapers and magazines raving about your work, and you're forced to hide the fact that you actually were a part of that for 10 years, they added. Another source, who was employed by LocalSoft as an external translator, worked on titles such as Animal Crossing, New Horizons, The Legends of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom for months, much like their peers, have yet to be credited for their contributions. We were never openly told that we wouldn't be credited. It was just a topic we sometimes discussed among ourselves. LocalSoft translators during lunch breaks, they said. It was upsetting, but sadly that's generally how things work when we're working through translation agencies. So as much as we were upset, at least some of us, honestly guys, we shrugged it off cases of just happening another day. There were times where people worked on projects like Skull and Bones and Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of people were upset they didn't get any kind of recognition for their work, and this is kind of scummy movements by Nintendo. I really want to know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. This one is kind of crazy to me. I don't understand what it's gonna take for them to just add a couple more names to the credits. It's really not gonna hurt them. Like, they think it's something so serious. Like, bro, it's really not. And these people are getting messed up for 10 years plus. Like, they can't advertise that they worked really hard on these titles. They can't show that they've done beautiful work on these titles. Even if they tell them, like, tell another employer, like, yeah, I did this, that's kind of illegal. They're under NDA. So it's really messed up, bro. And I think Nintendo should really do something about this, as it doesn't make any kind of sense. These are huge titles that sold millions and millions of copies. Like, an extra name on the credits is really not gonna hurt, not gonna do anything. I want to know what you think about this down in the comments below. Will you support Nintendo again? And as always, have a great day. Of course, I read every single one of my comments, so let me know what you think down below. Alright, like and subscribe, and yeah, this is like the worst outro I've ever done in my life, bro. No cap.